Welcome to your unfiltered guide to navigating the workplace as a Black woman, the Black Womaning in Corporate America podcast with your host, Nicole S. Palmer. I am the CEO and founding partner of Delnick Media, an independent publishing company that amplifies underrepresented and marginalized voices. This podcast was inspired by my award-winning and best-selling book, Playing the Game While Black Womaning in Corporate America. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of Black Womaning in Corporate America with your host, Nicole S. Palmer, and a friend of the pod, of course, Zara Northover. Zara, we are so excited to have you here. We've got lots to talk about.
I know. It's been some weeks, actually, about a couple months, I feel like.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, friend of the pod, we're always happy to have you here. We are invested in your case and what's happening, so you've got to catch us up. I mean, the last time we spoke, there was some activity, but now some time has passed. So let the folks, first and foremost, okay, in case this is your very first episode of Black Women in Corporate America, okay, let's introduce you to our very special guest who is on the show. So please, Zara, tell the folks at home, in case you've never heard of Zara, which you should have, but if you haven't, tell the folks at home who you are, give them a little background, and then we'll jump back in.
All right. Well, thank you guys for whoever's tuning in. My name is Zara Northover. I am a 2008 Olympian. I competed for Jamaica in the shot put. So yeah, man, I'm a
Okay.
dual citizen, American born and Jamaican parents. And I also have done a TEDx talk called We Are Worth the Cost of Justice. So go check it out on YouTube. And I have a story like many Black women in America, right? We went from working in corporate spaces, becoming, I think there was a story called From Office Pet to Office Threat, right? And so I'm also an advocate, right? Like I am currently litigating against Rocket Mortgage. And I'm before the Michigan Supreme Court as a pro se litigant representing myself. And thank God for Jesus, ChatGPT, and the
Yes.
library,
Okay.
and just not being afraid to like learn from those in social media and different platforms and YouTube to figure out what it is that I need to do in order to continue to advocate for myself. And we are here at this space because of race discrimination, retaliation. So, just to give you a quick synopsis of what actually happened, I worked at Rocket Mortgage for quite some time, since 2014 until right around like 2020, which is probably around what the George Floyd era, the big DEI push, what's happening. We want more DEI type of things happening. And a lot of this stuff, information is public record. No need to worry about like, how is she talking, right?
No
Like, one of
allegedly.
the things for me,
Mm-hmm.
why God put it on my heart not to sign an NDA, because for far too often, we don't have people talking about these real scenarios that they're really going
Absolutely.
through in real time. And when you don't have someone talking to you, the hardest part through this journey, to be honest, is being siloed and feeling like you don't have anyone that you could talk to or
Yep.
understand or help give you some guidance, because maybe they've lived through it, heard somebody that's been through it. Because most people have either signed an NDA and
Yeah.
can't talk about it, or maybe it's just too traumatic and it's triggering, so they can't talk about it. But either way, if you're the person now going through it and you don't have someone that's explaining what their experience, it's a tough spot to be in. And I vowed, when this started for me, I knew that God said that I was going to be a walking testimony through this journey. And it's not easy. It's definitely scary at times, but I'm doing it for the purposes of education and for empowering other people. And when and there's been way more than one person now that have reached out, that either have filed their own claim, had the courage to speak up for themselves, was able to be matched with a lawyer. Because at the end of the day, it's not that I want to be representing myself, right? Sometimes it ends up in this situation, but we should still know our rights and understand that we have the right to continue to pursue and to fight for ourselves, especially if that's what our belief is, right? If we were wronged and we
Yeah.
were dealing with injustices. So I'm a daughter I am now a fiance. I did get
Okay,
engaged
hey.
within the last 12 months, and this was the reminder that I'm living through the storm, right? Like a lot of people try to what one of the things I wanted to talk about today, Nicole, was like this fee shifting that happens with Black women that end up in
Mm,
these situations that are litigating.
yeah.
Oftentimes somebody might say, oh, this case isn't worth anything, or you're living in a
Mm,
rear view mirror. You should just be over with it. Don't worry. Don't continue. And it's like you do that because, yes, as Black women, we do have families, we have friends, we have life that does happen, and they want to make it seem like it's this burden. And it's not easy. I'm
yeah.
not going to sit here and sugarcoat and make it seem like it's easy, but
Right.
it shouldn't be the reason for a quick not to pursue
Yep.
justice. It shouldn't be the reason for a quick take any settlement offer that's thrown your way and sign away your silence so somebody else can't be helped along the way, right? Like if you have to, you have to. We all got to do what we got to do.
Yeah.
But if you are in a position where you can sustain, endure, and fight something because you truly believe in it, then you also need to know that is a possibility. And for me, I found a way to live in the midst of the storm. Even though it's been difficult, there are moments of sprinkles of joys, or as a friend of mine say, like God winks along the way, where I'm
Absolutely.
reminded that everything is happening for a reason and everything is going to work out for my good.
Let the church say amen. Okay.
Amen.
Okay, yes, there are several key things that you brought out that I just want to drive home. First and foremost, you represented an entire nation, a country at the Olympics, and now here you are representing yourself before the Michigan Supreme Court. Okay, let's get into that.
When you
Okay,
put it
so
like that, that's a whole lot to unpack.
okay, yes, okay, from the Olympic track to the Supreme Court. Okay, like come on now, Lifetime, where you at? Okay, so that's just that in itself is just a lot to digest. And I think what you said is so powerful about the fact that so often we are silenced or we feel like we can't speak up or that we have to take the settlement in exchange for our silence. And there are so many other stories out there of Black women who have gone through similar issues that don't talk about it because they can't, simply because they cannot. And I've told you before, you're fighting for me because I went through something similar. I had my own corporate hellscape, and I wasn't able to fight or take it all the way because at some point, and I think that's the other thing that you brought up, there's a lot of exhaustion. Like it's exhausting, and you have been fighting this. Let the folks at home know how long you've been in this.
Yeah, so I've been in total, I've been in this lawsuit going on, yeah, I mean, basically going on 5 years. And I've been a pro se litigant representing myself since 2023. So, yeah, going on 3 full years come
Yeah.
November of representing myself, writing my own motions, doing my own oral arguments. So it's like I said, it's no joke. It's definitely like a lot of research, a lot
Yeah.
of reading, a lot. I mean, it was a full-time job. And let's talk about the financial hardship of coming through that, right? It was a
Hmm.
full-time job to learn and study, and I'm going up against lawyers that are what paid however much they're paid on a corporate
155,000 an
dime.
hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like to compete, like you're basically a competition, right? Like to compete against each other. They're doing
Yeah.
their job, and it is their job. Right. And I think once I understood, like, it is their job to defend the company, it is
Hmm.
my job to defend me. Right. And if I had an plaintiff attorney, it's their job to defend me. That's the job that they signed up for. So, the
Absolutely.
one thing I do want to make sure I reiterate, because I'm reiterating it to myself, is we are worth the fight. Right.
Mm,
We are worth
yes,
that is what justice is supposed to be for. Right. You are, if you have a right, you have a right to fight for that
absolutely.
right. And for far too long, it's become this lax space where people feel like they're not worthy enough. Like whether it's $1 that you may get a verdict or $1 million or $10 million, all of them are still a verdict that potentially could be in your favor. And yes, it's not guaranteed. Yes, you do not know. Yes, it is a risk. But if you feel like you were wronged and you have the proof to show that you were wronged, then it's worth potentially fighting for.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a powerful reminder to let folks know you are worth the cost and you are worth fighting for. And I think if we can't fight for ourselves, who can we fight for if we don't find ourselves worthy enough to fight for? I mean, we have to start there. And I think that in itself is just like loving yourself, right? That whole idea of self love. You've got to love yourself enough to fight for yourself. And so I know that it has been such a long journey for you. And the last we spoke, we had some things happen, right? So we had an amicus, I don't know if I'm saying it properly, but
Amicus brief. Yeah.
amicus, okay, amicus brief that was filed on your behalf by a friend of the court. Let's give folks a little rundown of that, what came of that. And then there was some back and forth a little bit, I think, right after that. So let's tell folks about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of why we're here is because I worked for Rocket Mortgage.
Yep.
While I was at the company, there was a portion of time, right? This is alleged in the lawsuit that I had spoke about that the company said we want more black talent. Here I am
Yep.
referring, people aren't getting, then now I'm putting stuff in writing saying, how come we're not calling people back, right? So that's one hand. There was also a portion where I talked about blacks have a higher percent interest rate than other people. And here I am saying, hey, I think as a company, we could be potentially adding to that racial divide. We should look into it. So all these were like, where I'm thinking, I'm saying, hey, let's look into this. It's
Right.
like, hey, you're the red flag. You're the problem because you're bringing some of this stuff up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then retaliatory actions started taking place and happening to me. The name get left off of meetings that I should be a part of, right? But or like where I'm not told about the meetings, even though my name is
Oh.
there. Slowly but surely, I'm getting written up, or people are looking into things, even though there's nothing to be looked into, right? My team was quote unquote dissolved, which is basically a demotion, and I wasn't trained properly for where I was going. So a lot of things started to new harms consistently started to happen. So that is kind of the premise, the preface for this lawsuit. The lawsuit was dismissed at the pleading stage
Mm.
because they said the trial court had said basically like $20,000 pay cut wasn't an adverse action. I mean, you and I both know $20,000 is a lot of money, right? Like so.
10,000 is a lot of money. Come on
Yeah,
now.
like so that's pretty adverse when that's not an expected thing to come back to.
Yeah.
Like I was threatened initially in a first lawsuit, right, that I filed
Right.
after, and then 2 weeks later given a gorilla card, right? So this card was sent to my house, and inside the card says, Zara, I see a great year in your future, or bananas, it's unclear, happy birthday anyway, right? So this is a physical card. It's not like it was make
Mm.
believe an email, like, and that came 2 weeks after the threat. If you continue down this path, it won't end well for you. So there was a series of different events that took place throughout multiple different times. And one of the things that the courts or the justice says is that new harms mean new inquiry, new complaint. So at
Exactly.
some point, yes, the company tries to say, hey, well, this should have just been added. But if you have to go through what the court says to do, right, go through the law and file a claim with the EEOC and file a new claim and do all those things, you have to exhaust those remedies. So when they dismissed my case, we tried to bring this to the Court of Appeals. I had an attorney at this time. When the company offered another settlement and said, basically, take this money and be quiet, I said, I'm not signing my silence away. They still were like, nope, if you're not signing your silence, then we're definitely not giving you no money, right? Like, or anything. So, and my attorney at the time said, if you don't take this, I'm not representing you no more. So here we are, right? This is where the Olympic spirit does kick in, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
understand what my rights are,
Right.
and I am intelligent. I'm an intelligent Black woman that is understood and prayed about it. I'm also a God-fearing Black woman that God said, this is bigger than me, because there are people that aren't able to fight for themselves or speak up for themselves. And the knowledge that I'm gaining, I've been able to help a lot of people. And I'm also able to pursue my rights. So we're before the Supreme Court now because the Court of Appeals did affirm that decision. And but also saying, hey, yeah, even though they dismissed it, it's basically like a harmless error. And it's not a harmless error, right?
Okay.
So now we're before the Michigan
Right.
Supreme Court with those questions. The two main questions are, can new harms be barred by what they call res judicata, which basically is saying like it should have been merged, she didn't merge it, so therefore by the technicality we're throwing this out. But based off of the law, right, the law as written says if it's new
Yeah.
harms, then it's a new claim. So where the Michigan Supreme Court obviously is in the position to answer that question. The other question was, or the other reason they're saying the error was before the Supreme Court is the trial court basically dismissed this case acting as if it was a summary judgment, like it went through discovery because of the first case, right? The
Mm.
first case with the card.
Right.
And but ultimately, So now you're saying we're going to dismiss this case, but we're going to use the discovery from the first case. But if the first case is dismissed, how are you discovering, how are you not allowing the second case to go through the process, which is to have their own discovery, to have its own day in court, to have its own conversation, to have its own evidence? You're trying to say, well, we're just going to use the old evidence to dismiss the new case. So those are the two main questions before. And then obviously access to justice as someone representing yourself, making sure that I have a chance to be heard, because typically, if we're being honest, there's many lawyers that have been doing the legal thing for decades that don't even go to the Supreme Court level, right? Like, so this is something that is historic, it is monumental, it is something that doesn't happen very often, but it's possible, right? Like, and I didn't mention before being the founder of Moving in Faith, right? I have a whole brand that says to move in faith, right? So if something seems like it's impossible, right, then you just have to have the faith that all things are possible, even the impossible things, as long as you pray and you put your mind to it. So that's where we are now. We are before the Michigan Supreme Court. And thank you to the over 1,600 people that have signed a petition, right? And the judge that heard my story, this is a retired judge, look at God, a Title VII expert that heard my story, that was willing to write an amicus brief. An amicus brief is basically he was willing to write his own brief, his own report to say that this is an issue that's bigger than just Zara, right? It's just bigger than just what I'm going through. And these questions need to be, that these questions should be heard by the court and responded to. And he gave his reasons why and his like overview of what he saw, and the company tried to get that dismissed. So imagine that, right? The court says, yeah, we're going to grant this, we're going to read it, we're going to take it into consideration. And then here comes a company saying like, nah, like, I think you're wrong. You don't need to read that. He's retired. He doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe he even used AI, like, get rid of it. Right? Like, I mean, like, so I took it upon myself, obviously, to defend, right, that amicus. And I said, no, like, we're going to put some respect on this judge's name, who's also a Title VII expert, who also is a friend of the court and the justice system and worked in it for 40 years, was appointed by 3 different governors, right? Like, so that's basically the back and forth of what's taking place. And I'm proud to say that the amicus was granted at application stage, which rarely ever happens. And my motion to file a limited review to basically counter what the company was saying, because they tried to throw in some things that weren't accurate information. So to basically to call out their mischaracterizations, to defend myself, that was also accepted, which did not have to be accepted. So the thing that I have learned is to look up what is the law, right? And to be respectful of the court in that process with how I approach them as best as possible. I'm not a lawyer and I'm aware so right that of that, but what I can do is at least do my due diligence to be respectful in my writing, how I approach, and then fact check everything. Go to the law library, ask some college law students, right? Talk to a professor, hit up a lawyer, and just ask, can you look at this? Does this even make sense, right? Like, or talk to the retired judge himself now, right? Like, so I'm in a position where I'm grateful for the resources. I'm grateful for the AI subscriptions and the chat GPT, because I wouldn't have this fighting chance if I didn't utilize, right, like these sources. And but I do have, the disclaimer is you gotta fact check, right? Like, because it will give you some stuff that don't even make no sense, and you like, wait a second, this is not a real case.
Do your due diligence, people.
Yes. So I do want to make sure I'm prefacing that. But you get better at asking the questions, you get better dissecting the information. It's to the point now where sometimes people are like, wait, is this AI? And I'm like, no, babe, that was me. That's all me. That was my writing, right? Like AI didn't even edit this, right? Like because I'm learning more. Like the more that I'm involved and reading and checking in on different lawyers that are now on social media posting about their stories and their experiences, I'm able to gravitate from that. I watch the cases, I watch the Michigan Supreme Court cases as if it's like CSI, right? Like all this stuff is public record on YouTube, or you can physically go in on certain days to sit down and watch these public hearings. So I've really learned a lot in this process, and I want to make sure that I'm sharing what I'm learning.
I love that. And that is so powerful what you're sharing. And I think it also I should give everyone hope, because You don't have to feel like, well, I can't afford to get an attorney. And if you can, that's fantastic. Obviously, if Zara could afford to have like a top-notch Johnny Cochran type, I'm sure she would be happy to do that. But sometimes we have limited resources and we have to make do with what we have. And so I think that what you're letting folks know at home is we don't have to give up just because there's an obstacle or it seems like, well, I don't know that I can't afford an attorney, then I can't do it. You can represent yourself. It is possible. There's precedent for it. She's setting that right as we speak. And this could be a huge case. We are claiming that is going forward. We obviously are still waiting to hear and tell us a little bit about that because I think we're in a waiting period right now. So, how much time has passed since your last submission was received by the court to today? Like, what are we looking at and what can we glean from that?
Yeah, so that's good. So 9/17/25, September 17, 2025 was the last thing that was approved. So basically that means the whole record, everything is concealed. Here's the package, and now the deliberation kind of starts through the process, but it really starts now, right? So the clerks and the people behind the chambers are all doing their reading, their research. Does this make sense? Does this not make sense? So typically from my research, it says that in the first 4 to 12 weeks, if it's kind of like a frivolous case or a case that they're just like, we're not going to pursue this, they would just deny it, right? It would be a quick, clean deny. We're moving forward. And so the fact that we've surpassed, right, the first 4 to 12 weeks, I'm like, definitely a pat on the shoulder. It means that they're
Yeah.
at least deliberating, right? They're thinking about this, right? So then now they say the 12 to 16 weeks is like that next wave of like, all right, let's get rid of the, like, it was a lot, but maybe we didn't dispose of this earlier. But yeah, we've all agreed. So just so people that don't understand this, where we are, there's seven what's called justices. So justices are the same terms as like a judge, but it's higher up in the higher courts. Seven of them that sit on this panel, and four of them have to give you either a yay or four of them have to give the nay in order for this to move forward. So that typically, who knows, it could be right now 3-3 with a swing vote happening, right? Like where one judge is like, yeah, do we want to give her the shot or nah? Like there's too much going on here, right? Like, and let's say four of them were to say, yep, we're moving forward. You might have three of them that may just really disagree. So now they want to write and say, we don't agree with the other four that said move this forward. So then that's called, you know what I mean? Like, so they'll write what's called a dissent. And it could be vice versa. If they decide, hey, four people have decided that they don't they believe this should be denied, and one of the three or all three decide that they thought it should have went forward or it should have been reversed to the trial court, then they could write what's called a dissent to say we don't agree with that opinion. So where I say, like, at times it's that even that denial would still be considered kind of like a win, because the next step, it's like a win-win situation, in the sense, if I am planning to move forward to the US Supreme Court, which is the top of the top, that's clearly the supreme, right? Like
Okay.
that's federal, that's over all 50 states now, right?
Right.
Like then ideally it is beneficial to have a dissent, right? At least one judge or justice to say, we don't agree with everybody else. This should have been reviewed, because then now the high court that has 14 justices, right,
Right.
will say there was some tension here. So maybe there is something here that we should actually like decide to take on. So I did preserve the record to be able to have a pathway to go all the way to the top if that's what it takes, right? Like, in I only have 90 days from a decision. So if they
Mhm.
decide to deny it, I only have 90 days to pull something together to try to present it to the Supreme Court. If this is actually granted review in my favor, to be honest, I probably have like less than that, like 30 days to like get straight back into like trial mode, right? Like, so do I think that the hope, maybe a lawyer will come, maybe somebody's listening right now,
Yeah,
right? But
come on
maybe a
now.
lawyer
Like,
will come on
really.
board and say, you know what, you've done a hell of a job. So
Yeah,
clearly you're fighting for
absolutely.
something and we want to help you. Like I said, lawyers are, it's not that I don't want to work with a lawyer. It's just that my situation at this stage hasn't called for that. And financially, on a lower level, oftentimes a lawyer may take you on a contingency basis. So it basically
Yeah.
means you're not paying anything until you make money. You don't pay money until you make money. Typically, though, what happens on these appellate levels is they don't really do like contingency basis. And
Yeah.
I just don't have. I remember one lawyer quoted me like $15,000. I don't have $15,000 to pay for a lawyer to do the writing for me, to do this for
Yeah.
me, to do so. And fortunately, like I'm able to navigate it, look at some of these other case laws. I've done when one of the Court of Appeals, which we shared that YouTube before, like the judge said this was pretty good, right? And when he was just like, this was pretty good briefing on both sides. So that I take the compliments at where we go, where we are, right? The fact that I survived the company's motion to strike on the Court of Appeals level, that's a win, to be honest, right? Like I survived, right? The fact that there are times where I think got things granted. That's a legal check mark. Like that's positive. I am someone that did not go to Harvard Law, that didn't go to Wayne Law, didn't go to Cooley Law, I didn't go to any law school, right? Like, and I am advocating and choosing to fight myself because we do have a justice and legal system that allows for it.
Yeah.
We just have to have the courage to pursue it.
Amen.
And what we're doing right now, and that's what I appreciate about Black Womaning in Corporate, is that we have to have these conversations for people to even know it exists. It's already hard enough when you're mentally going through the
Yeah.
trauma and dealing with it and trying to figure out what even do you do. So it gives you at least a pathway of knowing it's a possibility. It
Yeah.
may not be the right thing for you, right? Everybody's scenario is going to be different. But I can tell you this, the more people that fight, that speak up, that at least even file the complaint, even if you don't pursue it, at least now the next person, if they come along, they could be like Nicole, Zara, Asia, whoever, the list goes on
Right.
of different people filed complaints. So you can't, what are you going to tell me that this employer is great?
Yeah.
Right. But when we don't file those complaints or when they're silenced, it's almost like I'm speaking up for the first time, right, by myself. That's why I always encourage at least do the exit interview,
Absolutely.
tell the truth of what's happening. And I get it, we're scared, but it's what I think about our ancestors, right? They fought so hard for us to get to a point to be able to have some sort of freedom. And this new wave, like you've seen, new wave racism is covert. It's not always in your face. It's
Yeah.
not always, it's not, it's so subliminal sometimes that it's like it slides through the scales of justice, right? But when now with all these efforts, like what is the lady that started the work receipts app?
You're talking about, but I don't remember her name. So
Yeah, but
I'll try to
there's
look it
a
up.
Black woman that started an app
Yes.
like Black like Work Receipts where she had over 16,000 subscribers. Now people could capture their documents as they're moving along. Like we're stepping up into these spaces,
Yeah.
and that's what we have to do if we want to see a change. Like no change ever happens by just being complacent, right? By just
No, it didn't.
assimilating. Change
Nope.
happens when you actually stand up for yourself.
Yes, and I really want to drive that point home that you said about the importance of speaking up because even though I did not take my case to court, I reported my supervisor. I filed a complaint with HR, and although I didn't benefit from it, I learned that almost 2 years after I left, that came back. Those reports that I filed came back to haunt that person. And so it is so important to go ahead and do it. Don't just think about the fact that, oh, you're just one person. And don't get me started on the power of one because I'll go on a whole sermon, y'all. Okay. But it's so important to remember that it's not just about you. Like you said, this is bigger than you. There are so many people that are going to come behind you, so many like little Black girls that maybe are unsure and don't feel certain about themselves. You are setting them up in a better place by just speaking out, and I think that's what's so important for us to not stay silent because it's not just about us. Something we do today could have a ripple effect years from now. And so we have to keep that in mind when we're moving about and thinking, well, what's the point? I'm just one person. This is not really going to make a difference. One pebble can make a ripple. And can impact and make a total difference. So y'all know the Power One, it's a whole lot. And to your point, on the change.org website, you've got like over 1,600 signatures in support of what you're doing. And that took each person saying that my signature matters. And now we are over
Amen.
1,600 strong. So come on, y'all. Okay. And pro
Amen.
bono attorneys out there that are listening, okay, give my girl a call, give us a call. We will put you in touch. Okay. We are happy to make the connection. Just because she is willing to do it on her own doesn't mean that she needs to. And we, as a community, especially in these times, really need to come together and just be there for each other, because we are 100% living in a hellscape in this country, especially.
Yeah,
Especially.
it's wild times. It's and the thing that just came to me while you were speaking is we just can't live in fear. When I say like I feel genuinely connected and thankful for you, Nicole, and Delnick Media, is because nobody was talking about this, right? Like I remember
It's
when we
stunning
first
to me.
connected,
I mean, I
and
told you that.
you
I'm
would
like,
think
what?
like it almost, people will talk about it after, right? The after, like, shout out, we gonna shout out Lakeivia Wilson, right, with her $15.4 million verdict with
Okay,
the against the
hello.
city of Fresno, right? We're gonna shout out that the one woman, and she filed that claim in 2019, and it's just now getting a
Okay.
verdict. It is
Look at God.
2026,
Look at God.
right?
Okay.
Like, and there's her. There's, you've had
I'm in Europe.
Miss Europe
Okay.
on here. There's the lady from FedEx out in Texas. There's a lady out in Colorado. Retaliation is real, and they're coming for us, right? I mean, to the what 300,000 or 600,000 Black women that are without jobs right now, right? Like at the end of the day, while some of it probably is legal, right? Like you have to, and that's why it's important to talk to a lawyer to understand, is this legal or is it illegal? If it's legal, it's just legal, and sorry, shit hit the fan, and now we just got to find something else. But
Not
if
that
it's
many.
illegal because they cross the lines, it's
Mhm.
because you're a Black woman, it's things that you could actually
Yep.
show, then take it to court, right? Or have the conversation. Like there have been some women that I know of, right? Like because of understanding their rights, they were able to negotiate higher severance packages and then move on to the next place. Like I said, not everybody is going to fight the fight fully, but even negotiating a high, like at the end of the day, we know that the dollars matter to these companies. Their reputation matters. So if they have to continue to write these checks because they're doing wrong, eventually they're going to do a little, they're going to do more right. Like they're going to, or they're going to waste their time to kind of still do it wrong, and we're going to get
Mhm.
smart to catch it, right? And they're still going to have to, I mean,
Okay.
deal with it. And that's the biggest thing, because it's like Lakeivia Wilson said, it's not just about money, it's about exposing the wrongdoing, it's about the accountability,
Yep.
right? Like the money, absolutely, we are worth that cost, right? Like, you know what I mean, like, and we're worth the payback that should come from that, but it doesn't erase the wrongdoing that existed and how to make it right for those that are coming behind us, right? And those that are still there. And I still feel strongly about that. And we've had the conversation plenty of times. It's bigger than me, right? It's not just me. There's plenty of people that worked at that corporation that have experienced similar things, right? Like if not, and maybe even worse. I just don't even know about it. There's people I'm sure that are in the corner silently rooting me on, even though they wouldn't ever come public, maybe because they signed an NDA, or because they feel like they're exposed to them and they don't want to be affiliated because of that. Those are the things that hurt along the journey that you don't always hear about, right? There are people that, like, you notice are not taking pictures with you out public because it's like you're the girl that's suing where they working, right? Like you know what I mean, like, or you wonder, like, and it's not paranoia, it's just a reality. There's jobs that won't hire you, right? Because they consider you a liability because you know your rights, right? Or there's jobs, or because you're suing the company maybe that they're affiliated with, right? Or a sister company, or as a client of theirs. Like the list can go on. And just so you know, all that is illegal also, right? So people will become
Okay.
mindful, right, to not tell you that that's the reason and give you a different excuse. So it's important to really know your rights. It's important to know your limits, and it's also important to trust God. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that's literally what's gotten me through. And I do appreciate some of you, many of you have signed the petition, have listened to this, have supported movinginfaith.com, my website, because it really does go a long way. When I'm looking at a $300 filing fee or $80 filing fee, or right, like a $5,000 bill, like these are real bills, right? Like luckily I mean, I'm not paying myself as a lawyer yet, right? But the reality is I still have expenses, I still have a mortgage, I still have responsibilities and bills and things to care for, and a life to live, right? Like, And it just makes me think back to the days of like Martin Luther King and the Black Panther and what those organizations and people stood for. Like when you there's a story in Detroit, Ocean Suite, and this the community raised money to support the fight. Right, like when you're seeing those donations come in
Yeah.
and things and but by the way, like I don't know where the funds with that whole the sign the signature and donate. Like there's a place that called Faith It Forward on my website if anybody ever wants to
Go
contribute
there.
or
Okay.
contact.
Give the money
Yeah.
there.
Or contact
Okay.
me directly to support. I more than appreciate it. And I truly believe that this is paying it forward because I I strive on communicating and helping as many as I can. I have talked to people that have reached out just with questions and connected so many with lawyers that I have now vetted or I've talked with or seen the work that they've done. Because like I said, it's a lot when you're in the midst of it, when it's just happening for the first time. You don't even know left from right. You're still in shock that somebody had the audacity to send you this, right? You're still in shock that somebody had the audacity to call you the N-word or whatever, you know what I mean, whatever your experience may be. And then your life hits because it's like, what do you do? Especially if you've been somewhere for 10 years or it's your first job and you don't know how you're going to pay rent next month, right? Or your mortgage next month or your car bill, right? Or your child's daycare, right? Like, so the reality is like, life still happens,
Yeah.
but it's the support
Absolutely.
of knowing that there's people out there that can help you through this. I'm fortunate I have a beautiful mom that like is behind me on this and wants to continue to see me to pursue justice, right? And a fiance that's supportive as well, and family and friends that are have stepped up in the best way that they can. And then you have to give grace for the people that can't. Some people don't even know how to step up for you, especially if you've been someone that's carried people for so long. They
Mhm.
just think, oh, she's strong, she got it. So I'm letting you know as a
Okay.
strong
Oh,
friend, it's exhausting.
it really is.
So
Y'all don't
checking
got no
in, the
strong
extra
friends,
cash
please.
apps, those things are always helpful because I
Yeah.
know that people don't have to do them,
Yeah.
but they choose to.
No, seriously, that's a word right there too. I think that it's so easy to look at people who are in the limelight and who are doing all these things and who are very visible. Because you were just at the NAACP Image Awards, right? And so it's easy to say, "Oh, she's a celebrity, she's famous, she's this and that and the third," and to just make a sweeping assumption that that doesn't mean you need care and support, and that's so far from the truth. I think that what happens a lot, especially when you're in a visible, not just in the spotlight, but when much is given to you, much is placed upon you because you have a calling, because you have a responsibility or a duty, much is required. And not just much in what you have to do, but what you have to expend, the energy, the effort, your essence. And maybe this is hitting close to home for me, but I just have to say that I think that it's so easy to look from the outside, like from the outside looking in, and assume, oh, they're good, they can advocate for themselves, they're fighting, they're outspoken, they got this many followers, they're doing this here and there, and just make an assumption about their personal life and what their lack is, without ever realizing that the truth of the matter is that y'all need to check on y'all strong people.
Please do. Please do. And not and I'll share this. There's a couple for every friend is gonna be different, right? Like so I have some friends that are gonna be listen, they waiting with their popcorn for the phone call, right? Like I mean, like they got the Bible ready to get into the prayer closet,
Okay.
right? Like
Yes.
you got every friend's gonna make show up different. Then you got
Yes.
the friend that she ain't trying to hear what you gotta say, but she gonna send you to the hotel because she know you need a staycation, right? Like she gonna say, hey, just drop $50 in your account, go get something to eat, right? Like or send some food over. Like, and
Mhm.
I appreciate each person as they
Yeah.
are. You learn to respect people as they are, and
Yeah.
then you're gonna see some people kind of shy away. You're gonna see some people like, yeah, I'm not about that life, like, right? Like, and I do believe that it's part of it is the pruning. I keep thinking about like when in the Bible where they talk about the wine,
Yeah.
right? And you know what? You got to crush grapes in order to make wine. Like, and yeah, like, and the truth is,
Hmm.
everybody ain't gonna make it. Like Nipsey Hussle also says, right? Like at the end of the day, we experience people, we don't own them. So the
Yeah.
experience of who was in my life at what time, that's what matters. There's new relationships that I formed, like between you and Sarah from the formation. Like I am so grateful, right, to add you guys to my sister circle and tribe, because I just think like one day when and if my life becomes a movie or documentary, it's like people
When? No ifs,
write
okay?
themselves.
When? Okay, we speak
People write
definitive.
themselves in to who they are. The ones that help you, the one that hurt you, the one that, like, and the one that
Mhm.
just ignored you. But systemic racism is also deep, and you see that in this process.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think it even shows up in how we treat each other. And I don't think it's always intentional or deliberate. I think it's just part of the system's working as it was designed. Unfortunately. And that's really what it boils down to. And I don't know if you guys caught that, but because maybe she was doing it subliminally, but I need y'all to understand the power of documentation. Okay. You see, my girl still got her card as evidence, okay, against the people who did the foolishness. Okay, that card is several years old. Do you see the condition of this thing over here? Okay, you got the little teeny little dog ears, but okay,
Yeah.
intact. Okay, let's talk about the importance of documentation. All right, so that right there, y'all keep every piece of paper, every email, every foolishness, every conversation, anything that was said off the record, bring it on the record. Just do a follow up email, just circling back, okay? Because every piece of evidence will help you in the long run, and that is so powerful. And I just have to shout that out because some people don't even remember where they left their stuff from like the day before, okay? You over here with dockets and folders and files and such. So let's get into how important that is, people. Let's not forget that, because at the end of the day, it is always, unless we can prove it, it is our word against theirs, against the system, really. The system that believes that Black women are a monolith and that we all behave the same way and that we all ascribe to the same stereotypes, that we all get angry, that if our eyes are wide, we're angry and excitable and dangerous and all of the things that they want to say. That's the system that we're bucking against. So it's super important that we document, because that is going to save you in the long run, okay? And we are believing, we are 10 toes down and 10 fingers down on that this is going to work in your favor, and that they're going to at least remand for this case to be heard.
Yeah, that would be ideal, right? Like the remand just means that then now, like we got work to do, whichever one they choose, right? Like, but if they remand it, that's them saying, you know what, there's something here. We're going to send this back to the trial court under these circumstances for them to re-review this.
Yes.
And like basically for you to have your discovery, right? Because the thing is, let's say this was new evidence. That means in that case, this evidence was never seen, right? Like this is not the new evidence, by the way. But there is new evidence. There are new discoveries. There are investigations and depositions that never was had, right? Because they dismissed that second claim at the pleading stage, right? Like, and that, to be honest, that's where the bulk of the evidence was, right? Like, so like you almost wonder, well, how did that happen, right? Like, and you wonder, but right? Like, and I think this is the part too that I'm getting more comfortable with, and I really have to thank you for that, Nicole. Is getting comfortable with sharing my story, right? Like God had put it in my heart, like, why are you fighting to not sign an NDA if you're operating as if you're under one, right? Like, and I'm not under an NDA, and I'm not under non-disparagement. They try to make it seem like, oh, well, you don't want to talk about this while you're in an active case because it could seem this way. Like, I'm not trying to seem anyway. I'm really just trying to share my experience so people could understand the process in real time. I'm also trying to position myself, because if I could get help because somebody heard my story, then it makes sense, right? Like, silence is how oppressors win. Silence is how oppressors overcome and move forward, right? Like, you can't beat a major corporation or anybody in silence, right? If you think about domestic relationships, it's the same thing. If you're not talking that you're about your abuser is abusing you, then nobody knows your abuser's abusing you, especially if you cover it up with foundation, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to open up your mouth and speak. You have to have the courage to choose you, like, in order to be able for something to happen.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
and I challenged, because I thought long and hard about this, and that it was a friend of mine that said, right, regardless of whether you say something or you don't, the trauma is still there. Like, even though you may not say anything, doesn't mean that they're going to treat you any better. It doesn't mean that you're going to get the next job anyway, because they could silently be tarnishing your name and you have no idea. So why not give yourself the fighting chance?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because I remember recently, I think it was this week or last week, and I think there's always a variation of this where you see it on LinkedIn where people are saying, why are you don't go on LinkedIn and bad talk your former employer. And I think there's a difference between just because you got fired because you did something that was negligent or something that where you were at fault for versus where you were being abused, retaliated in a toxic place, and then they tell you, well, don't go on LinkedIn and put it out there. Who's going to want to hire you? But don't you want others who may come after you, who may be potential victims, to steer clear of that organization? And also, if you are, if there's an organization that has a problem with you outing a toxic, abusive, atrocious organization, maybe they have a problem because they are the same. And so, if an organization does not want to hire me because I am speaking out about something that happened at the hands of another organization, I maybe don't want to work there. It's a two-way street. So, I really want to, I hope that people really kind of not use that to say, oh, well, I could ruin my chances. I think there are ways to do things. Absolutely. I don't think we go necessarily, everyone has their own flavor, right? There are ways to do things in a manner that I think work, but I don't think that us just staying quiet because we don't want to come off a way. I'm certainly not going to thank my abusive organization. Like I'm not gonna like on the because I see that a lot as well, where on the heels of an exit, I want to thank. We're not doing that. We don't thank the abusers. But at the same token, just the same way that an organization can, they do put out, they talk. Organizations talk to each other behind the scenes. They can blackball you. They have that ability because, especially in the same space, they do have those conversations. Why not actually be an advocate for others who can potentially find themselves in a similar situation, especially Black women? Come on now, come on, y'all. We need to come on. Seriously.
Yeah, I think it's also like picking and choosing, because remember, people don't meet quit organizations, they quit bad leaders. Like, and I think obviously if the organization continues to use everything in their power to protect the bad leader, then right, then the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Okay.
Like, but there's a difference of like knowing that you could work at a 30,000 person organization and literally have the best career and life career possible while somebody else has had a bad experience. And to be honest, what you're going to court for is the illegal experience. You're not going to court to take down the whole house, right? You're going to
Oh,
to court to say, this was a problem. I'm giving you the opportunity to be accountable for it. If you choose not to be accountable for it, then yeah, the organization will suffer
right.
because it's going to have to write the check, or it's going to have to go through training, or it's going to have to whatever the consequence ends up being, right? Like, or it's going to take, either way, they're spending money. They're spending money to pay for their lawyers. They're spending money to
Yeah.
take people off the floor to go into in depositions, right? They're spending money to print out thousands of pages of
Yep.
documents, right? Like, or to be in a situation, if I'm in it 5 years, they're in it 5 years, right? Like, so it's not like we're not in this together. And at some point, you have to say, like, you're going so hard, like, to not hold yourself accountable. So, how much easier would it have been just to hold yourself accountable and do
Yeah.
the right thing, right? Like, especially when that's one of your isms, right? Like, so, or your mantras.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's a reputational thing. And I just hope that by having these conversations, we also start to change the narrative. We've
Yeah.
seen what happens with Target. We've seen what happened with
Hmm.
H&M. We see what happens when communities actually come together and normalize, right? And create the new narrative of what's what, right? It is absolutely your right to stand up for yourself, to advocate for yourself, to hold people accountable, to save your documents, right? To have the conversation with an employment attorney first, or to reach out to a mentor in a different corporation to talk about something, right? Like, so it's about preparing yourself. And you may get some no's along the way, because imagine there's hundreds of thousands of people right now dealing with a lot of different scenarios.
Mhm.
So I may get a lot of emails that I may not, right? Like, or messages that I may not be able to get through right away. But you keep going until you find the person. I think it was probably what, dozens of people that I had connected with before I came across and we connected, right? Like, at the end of the day, there is going to be that yes. Like there's gonna be that book that you read that you happen to reach out to the author. I remember that was Jackie Abrams for me, right? Like I felt like when I was reading her story about her situation, I was like reading my life. And that's healing,
Yeah.
right? Like it's healing to hear that even if you did nothing about it, but just knowing that somebody else is fighting for something that you could have fought for, but you either chose not to or couldn't, or just didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's the biggest thing. I don't want our people to perish for lack of knowledge anymore. Like, so if I have the knowledge, I'm going to share it. And we all should. And we should normalize that. Yes, if somebody does wrong, you take them to court, right? Or if somebody does wrong, you at least file the claim internally, file the claim with the EEOC, do whatever level you're able to do, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's perfectly okay, because there's other genders and races, right? Like that do normal that are okay with just, hey, you do wrong by me, I'm suing you.
Yeah. Yeah, let's and I think I love that you brought that up because the other thing that I want to dispel is this notion that you or any other black woman that is doing this is money hungry or you're just here to like get a quick cash grab. Let You brought up some really great examples. Target is like a master class in why it's important that we do litigate and that we do actually take it to the core because that is the only language corporations understand money. That
Yep.
is the only language you understand, corporations in general. And that's where it hurts. And unless we hit them in their pockets, they will not listen. It took how Target was nearly dismantled, lost their CEO. I mean, they lost.
And don't come for us, Target, because already know this ain't no defamation. This has been public record
This
and
is like,
conversations that have been
okay,
out there.
like I'm
Yeah.
stating the facts. Okay, let's go look at your balance sheet if you forgot.
Yeah.
Okay, hemorrhaged so much money and lost so much foot traffic because we mobilized and said what you are doing is unacceptable because that is the only language that organizations, that institutions that are steeped and bathed in systemic racism understand. That is what those who came before us, the civil rights movement, the boycotts that happened, that is when they started listening, when those who came before us stopped patronizing their stores and they were hurting for money because we were no longer taking our dollars to those same places that said we won't serve you here or you're less than you because you're black. And so we have to dispel this notion that black women in particular, because that is, I mean, y'all see the name of the podcast. If y'all don't, go look at it again because maybe y'all took a wrong turn somewhere. But black women in particular, we have this myth that say that we're litigious, that we're just angry, that we're lashing out, that we're money hungry or gold digging, and that's why we're filing these lawsuits. No, we're filing them because an injustice was done, and that is what needs to happen to affect change. Because without saying, okay, assigning a dollar amount and actually saying this is punitive or whatever the case is, no change will happen, unfortunately. No organization is really doing this unless you're some pristine, never done anything wrong, out of the goodness of their heart. You're doing it because it affects your bottom line. And that's really what it boils down to. And so, if it's okay, if it's good for the goose, for many other people who don't look like us, who can file the lawsuit, who can speak out, who can get the settlement and not have to sign a gag clause or an NDA, if it's good enough for them, it is certainly good enough for us. I'm just saying.
Yep, no, absolutely. And I think that like we're at 27 weeks, right? Like this week makes the 27th week, so just over 6 months. And still today, I still think of just imagine being back in the chambers and it's like seven justices saying, okay, what are we doing here? Like, or and so to know that it's taken this long because there's some careful deliberation taking place. And I say I've shared about like the three different routes, but I want to reiterate again the fact that I feel confident, I feel good that it's taken this long, right? Because it shows that there is some level of seriousness obviously taking place back there. And even if this was to potentially have been a deny, right? Like knowing that I preserved the record to still be able to move forward, right? Like and and not just moving forward because I'm just out here just, as the company would say, filing frivolous lawsuits, right? It wouldn't have taken this long if it was frivolous, right? Like, I mean, let's
Okay.
just be real, right? Like, it would have been an easy denial or dismiss if it
Mm.
was nothing here, right? Like, and that's the type of defense that typically these corporations will take, is start the name calling, making you feel like you're less than. And that's why it really is important to have a support system to also talk about it, where other people could step up and be like, girl, keep going. Because sometimes I be going through them comments, because I do have those days where it's like, God, am I doing the right thing? Am I still
Mm.
supposed to go? And then here you have, I may get a phone call or a text message of like, hey, because of you, I was able to do X, Y, and Z. Or because of you, I was able to file my complaint, and now I'm going through arbitration. Or because of you, and it's just a different level of joy and appreciation, because it's not in vain. Right? Like, nothing I'm doing is in vain, and I have a right to, because what happened to me should have never happened to me. Right? Like, and if you want to turn it to the name calling towards me, like, how about we talk about the things that I did do for the company, the $40 million that I did bring into the company in 1 year as a banker, right? The impact alone from the documentary that the company did on me, to send out to new hires and
Yeah, I
to
heard that they did a
speaking
whole documentary
engagements,
on it.
right? That you put me
Okay.
in front of, to thousands of employees. So as much as they want to talk about all this negative all of a sudden, right? What about all the good, right? So, and I won't take away from the impact and the experience that I've had, right? But we should have never got here. This should have never been the card, right? Like, you know what I mean, the threat should have never been the threat, right? Like, those things never, and if they were those things, because things happen, you own up to it. You apologize. You do right by the situation. You rectify it, and then we move forward.
Right. Absolutely. To all of that, point blank and period. Correct. Okay. And so we can talk for hours but I want folks at home, especially any to my black beautiful women that are in the audience listening, that maybe you are very much on the cusp of trying to decide, am I really going to do this? Am I going to take these people to court and put them out there and do what I need to do? If you have one piece of advice to give them, what would that be? Because I need y'all to listen up, because if we can reach that one person that's really about to make their decision and just needs to hear that one thing that might help them make the decision a little easier, what would that be?
The important question I asked myself was, am I going to be like the oppressor and do nothing about this and silence myself in the situation just to move forward? Or am I going to be an advocate for the oppressed, right? And have faith in what my ancestors fought for, and be the change that I hope for myself, for my children, for my siblings, for people that are coming after me, because your decision does impact. It doesn't always feel good, right? If you choose to be the I'm just moving forward, it's not a good, but it's a real feeling. It is a real impact. If you do nothing, you are actually supporting the oppressor, right? Like, you mean, because it's not helping anyone, right? Like, you do have to choose your mental health. So please make sure you are talking to a psychiatrist, a friend, someone, right? Because this journey is not to be done in silence. It's not to be done siloed, right? It's supposed to be done in community, and people will try to tell you to not. And remember, you may have a Judas at the table. You may, unfortunately, you might, right? Like, and so you do want to be
Or two.
mindful of like how many coworkers you calling up, like, girl, let me tell you, right? Like, you mean, like, because the
Okay.
reality is you do have to be smart,
Yeah.
right? And stay prayed up, or if you're into meditation, or however it is that you heal and you silence yourself in order to ask questions, right, to yourself. But I would definitely say you got to ask yourself that question: am I going to be like the oppressor, or am I going to be an advocate for the oppressed? And then if you can't live with yourself, right, with either one of those, with whichever answer, then that's what you got to do. I know, and my fiance says it all the time, like, as much as I would want you to just be done, the reality is I know that you wouldn't be able to mentally. It is a mental thing now. It's not just a money thing. I mentally will not be able to live with myself, right? Like, I will have a hard time if I was to just give up. Like, if I wasn't to advocate for myself and for other people, right? I can spend so much time advocating and helping others. What do I look like being a hypocrite and not helping myself, right? Like, and that's a real reality. So Get yourself the help that you need, having the conversation. There are a lot of free resources. Like, reach out. Like I said, it may not take a while. It may take a while, whether if I answer or somebody else reaches, copy and paste and just change the name, right? To all the people you're going to reach out to. But if I see it, I will definitely respond and at least give whatever advice I can based off of the information that I have, but utilize also the resources. AI, Chat GPT, those things exist. So explain your scenario and say, hey, what's the deal here? What are the top employment attorneys in my area? Is there a pro se clinic or a self-represented clinic or a free clinic, legal advice clinic that I could go to? The thing is, the information is there for you to get the help that you need. So believe that you're worth it.
Yes.
Believe that you're worth it enough to be able to at least find the answers for yourself so you could pursue.
Yeah, I love that. I love that very much. And you may not be able to afford 1,000 or more an hour, but you can afford $20 a month. That's how much ChatGPT Plus costs. I'm just saying.
Correct. Correct. And if
You
you
can
can't
do.
afford it, ask somebody. Somebody will give you that money.
Okay,
Like,
give.
sometimes you might have to swallow your pride. I mean, this season has taught me I have to learn how to receive. I have to allow people to show up for me. Like, because I don't have it. Like, I've exhausted a lot. The plateau of the trajectory of my career would have been completely different if this didn't happen to me.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's something that you have to consider, folks, too. Like, to your point, it's like the time lost, the cost that all that time that you didn't have the income that you should have had this not happened, had you not been derailed. And that has to be considered as well. You have to consider the cost to you. And is the silence going to be worth it? That's a question we all have to answer for ourselves. I'm going to put all of your information in the description as per usual. So if folks want to reach out, connect with you, follow. She's, of course, on all socials. And so we'll put all of that information there for you. Again, another reminder, any attorneys in the audience pro bono that want to take this case on, look, you could be part of a historic, monumental case here, okay? Like, let's just be clear about it. It is before the Michigan Supreme Court. Okay, she has laid the groundwork for you. You can just go ahead and, I don't know, slide into home base, as they say. I'm going to just use a baseball analogy. But regardless, seriously, thank you so much, Zara, for coming on and sharing your story and giving us an update. We, of course, are very excited to hear about when we finally get news. But until then, we are moving in faith along with you. We are supporting you and rooting for you every step of the way. So thankful that you're able to join us, and thankful to our audience, of course, for joining us. And definitely reach out if you have any questions. Please put some comments of support and encouragement. I'm sure she would love to see them. And as always, until next time, take care.
Bye. Thank you all.
Thanks for tuning in to Black Womaning in Corporate America, the podcast. If today's episode spoke to you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, or submit a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. And don't forget to grab your copy of Playing the Game While Black Womaning in Corporate America, available now wherever books are sold. Until next time, take care.